If you're seeing this video, then this message was meant for you. Or at least that's what a lot of the tarot readers online will say. Every day I see an increasing amount of videos on the internet about messages from spirit guides wanting to send messages and individuals offering tarot readings to interpret these messages. Tarot's presence online is growing, and the more I see young adults dabble in New Age related practices, it makes me wonder, is there a right or wrong way to get involved? First, we should talk about what tarot actually is. So typically, tarot commonly refers to a set of cards used as a tool for divination. Many variations of tarot exist, however, one of the more popular decks is inspired by the Rider-Waite-Smith set. So these decks would contain 78 cards divided into two major parts, the major arcana and the minor arcana. The origin of tarot is not super clear to me, but it seems that at one point it originated as a household game during the Italian Renaissance. Eventually, with time, the deck was appropriated to be used for fortune-telling and divination. Occults like the Golden Dawn helped establish tarot as a sacred religious item. Arthur Edward Waite and Pamela Smith, as in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, were members of the Golden Dawn. But when it disbanded, these two created and published their tarot deck, which led many people to begin dabbling in tarot and explore a spiritual and mystical sense of self. Today, tarot is a ubiquitous divination tool, to say the least. There are so many decks with varying symbolism that exist. Although maybe it seems silly that tarot originates from a card game, as Jessica William puts it in her thesis, The Religion of Tarot, it is vital to acknowledge the spiritual power of belief. This belief has led tarot to become as widely practiced as it currently is. But how are so many people able to practice tarot? Were they naturally gifted? Or is it something anyone can just learn and study? More specifically, could someone like me learn the workings of tarot and then call myself a psychic afterwards? Well, seeing as tarot is not a closed practice, anyone should be able to learn and participate. After doing some research, it does seem that one would have to put in some effort into learning the meanings of the cards in order to accurately interpret them. However, psychic abilities are not absolutely necessary. So I tried it out, and this is how it went. The amount of cards in the deck seemed overwhelming at first. I mean, 78 cards is a lot to memorize. However, when I started looking at explanation videos online, I learned that tarot isn't necessarily about memorizing the cards the same way you would memorize material for tests at school. You should adopt a more open mindset and allow your logic and intuition to do most of the work. Readers shouldn't treat tarot as an exact science, because it's not. Every artist's illustration can bring nuanced meanings, so by memorizing cards and specific associations, readers could be closing off possible interpretations. This idea of using both scientific and magical methods of interaction relates to Susan Greenwood's The Anthropology of Magic. She discusses the term not only but also a way of integrating multiple ways of thinking into our lives in order to gain deeper understanding. She states that imagination has a power which enables individuals to escape being swallowed up by a given reality, and it allows them to go beyond a certain situation, a set of circumstances, and the status quo. Although there are so many ways to lay out a spread, so it seemed to me like at the end of the day, tarot really just involved a lot of doing what feels right for each reader. I will admit that personally at the beginning of my journey, I was a little skeptical about the accuracy of it all. However, now I can say that I fully understand the appeal, and while I wouldn't say I'm psychic, I did feel drawn to the cards, and there was some sort of energetic pull. I was using both my intuition and logic to interpret the cards before me. Now, although I don't think there is a right or wrong way to specifically read cards, I would say there is an ethical and an unethical way. One issue that I ran into while going online to learn was there seemed to be the possibility of the appropriation of certain cultural and religious practices. While presenting some methods to cleanse your tarot decks, some readers suggested doing things like performing Reiki or burning herbs like white sage and Palo Santo. It seems that a lot of the times people forget that Asian spiritual practices are not an aesthetic, nor are they a part-time hobby. They're sacred, and they're a path one walks through one's existence. This, to me, is an example of social media further contributing to cultural appropriation. Viewers may watch these videos with simplified or watered down explanations of these practices, and they won't go on to do more research about the origins or possible cultural significances. By taking this information at face value and then spreading it, we begin a cycle of misinformation that leads to ignorance. With regards to burning sacred herbs like white sage or Palo Santo with the intentions of clearing out negative energies, Dakota Farnkrug mentions in a blog that in order for non-natives to avoid participating in the cultural exploitation and appropriation via the use of smudge, it is important to understand its cultural significance and its history of suppression of our white-dominated society. Another ethical issue that I noticed is sometimes readers will use their gifts to exploit others financially. Readers may adopt a certain language and influence the viewers that a certain message is meant for them, but that they have to like, comment, and share to claim this good news. In other words, viewers have to do readers a favor on their social media platform or else they'll be cursed. So to answer my initial question, is there a right or wrong way to become involved? Yes and no. There will never be one way to read the cards, and as it is such a ubiquitous tool for divination, with no strict rules or religion and regulations surrounding it, each reader has a lot of freedom. And as we grow and evolve with the times, technology is going to take its place in spirituality. Rather than growing technologically and abandoning spirituality, or avoiding technology and going strictly traditional with the passing down of knowledge, I believe tarot and media can work together to provide help to a larger audience. Seeing as it's so dynamic, I think that it's great there are so many resources online to help people learn more about the practice. In addition to online tutorials I watched on YouTube and TikTok, there are countless articles and books and even apps on your phone you can download to help. This interaction between tarot and social media actually goes hand in hand with Josephson-Storm's The Myth of Disenchantment. In this work, he argues that being modern does not mean that we are separated from magic. Using technology to spread information about spiritual practices is a perfect example of the myth that modern life is like a bureaucratic and technological life world stripped of mystery and wonder. Obviously though, with all that freedom given by both tarot and the internet, issues can arise. I believe that readers who seek to teach others or to provide readings should practice their spirituality in ethical ways. They should be cautious of spreading misinformation and playing into cultural appropriation. They also should avoid exploiting people's ignorance for financial gain. It seems to me that tarot is a wonderful tool that can be used to gain more insight or do some personal reflection. It can be even used alongside traditional therapy. As long as those involved with the practice are taking the time to make sure they aren't causing anyone harm, however they read the cards will always be right.